Ladies, gentlemen, various others, you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you were here with us on Speed Gaming 6. My name is Tyler Salt. I am here once again with Cool Papa Bell. How you doing?
I am doing good. I'm excited we got the band back together. We saw a great race last night, and I am expecting another one here. We are in the Misery Mire division in the first round of the playoffs between the last locationers and the sexy Ganons. Illus and Fant are representing their two teams here in this Ambrosia seed.
Yeah, this is game 2 of this best of 3 match. It is best of 5 match. This is an Ambrosia seed. It is standard 7-7 defeat Ganon. They are guaranteed a sword at the start. The uncle will spoil the location of the boots, at least the region that you can find it in, and then in every dungeon, the boss of the dungeon is guaranteed to have some kind of item. So no maps, compasses, big keys, small keys, that sort of thing. This is a triple header between these two teams. Game 1, the first scheduled game is ongoing between the two power players, Goomba versus Yagamoth. That is ongoing. In game 3, the Courage game, which is an open seed, will start at 7:10 p.m. Eastern time, so in an hour. So we shall see the results. It should be an excellent evening of Rando all over the place here.
Yeah, and these two teams actually tied in points in the regular season, so it went to a tiebreak, giving the 2 seed to the last locationers, meaning they had the choice of modes for that Pendant of Power match that's ongoing right now, so a small advantage to them. Should it go that far, the Sexy Ganons will have their choice of mode in Game 4, and then back to last locationers for a decisive Game 5 if it is needed.
And we are off. Boots are in the Death Mountain. Boots are up on Death Mountain, so we're going to be looking very early for a glove or a flute, and maybe a hook shot, hammer, mirror, that sort of thing. Get up to Death Mountain as soon as we can to get those boots. But here we go, off into the escape. We get a map check right off the bat. I thought I saw 3 regular crystals. One of them might have been a red crystal there in the light world.
Yeah, I believe a red crystal in desert. I think I saw that was crystal number 5.
I think you are right, yes.
Yeah, so that Death Mountain hint, very interesting early on. You know, it's always sort of debatable if you have a glove but no lamp, do you go up to Death Mountain? I think when you know the boots are up there, the answer is yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I would imagine not without a hook shot or a mirror and the hammer would be my expectation. Fairy drop right away. We'll see if that comes into play a little bit.
And yes, chat already grabbing the worst possible location that Death Mountain could mean, which is Mimic Cave. I'm not 100% sure of the Ambrosia hints. I guess that could also mean Dark Death Mountain, which would mean a whole lot more requirements to be able to find those boots.
So our first point of business here in a standard seed, other than getting through it and checking the chests and rescuing the princess, is looking for bombs. And so you're going to find our heroes here as they find a Master Sword right away. That's nice to have. They're going to be killing a couple guards in here when maybe they wouldn't otherwise. Check what prize packs those guards are in. See if they can't get a bomb drop. If they don't get any from the chests here during the escape sequence. It's important to get to those all-important 3 chests in the back of escape. Hopefully they won't have to double dip this. Nice to have a couple bombs going into the Kakariko village area there. And we see those the green guards have the 8 bomb drop in their prize pack. So Fant picking that up and is all set.
Yeah, I think that fairy drop at the beginning sort of told us that those guards had the sort of variety pack. It's got a little bit of everything in it, so the bombs are in there if you just kill enough of them.
Yeah, and it was the good one of those too, so you're going to see red rupees and big magic pots and 10 arrows out of that pack. So that should be good. We'll see if Illus kills any of those green guards and gets into that pack at all. So we see the Cane of Samaria there. Nice find early on.
Yeah, we'll just check that one off the list 3 minutes in.
Doesn't unlock anything. Excuse me. Doesn't unlock anything right now, of course, but does allow us to do some shenanigans a little bit later on in Ice Palace and Swamp Palace. So keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, just more than ever, it's become a really good convenience item. You know, it sort of helps you with strats in certain rooms, like the vanilla big key chest in Skull Woods, and now with Icebreaker and Diver Down being race legal for several weeks, Cane of Samaria has become one of everyone's favorite items to find.
A preemptive thank you to Ike here, who is behind the scenes pushing buttons for us, tracking things. So thanks, Ike here. Let him know in chat if something is not quite right. But be nice. The tracker eats inputs sometimes, so it probably won't be his fault. One thing I remember from week 2 of the league, which is when everybody was running Ambrosia Seeds, was Ambrosia Seeds tend to have a disproportionately, as Illus finds his 8 bomb drops there from the ropes. These Ambrosia Seeds tend to have a disproportionately high number of Agon 1 required seeds, right? Because you've got 1/3 of the access already in a sword, and certainly here with the Master Sword already, all their lead is in Lamp, and suddenly Aga 1 is in Logic. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. We'll also see if one of our runners decides to do a Lumberjack check here, popping out at Sanctuary.
Yeah, you can definitely change up your routing a little bit. In this seed, it feels like the boots are probably going to be accessible pretty early, so our runners might put a little bit more premium on that lumberjack information and gloves in the back of Escape.
That is how important finding those bombs were, because if you didn't have, if you couldn't find that, I mean, I suppose that you might have to find the other glove out there in order to get those, if not go all the way through the escape sequence again. So really, really good thing that our runners found those bombs there in Escape. Sub 6 minute Escape is real good. Very, very good job here by these runners.
Yeah, especially with having to do a little bit of farming to find those bombs. Certainly, our runners were helped out by that Master Sword. Got through the big key guard, the ball and chain guard, pretty quickly with that Master Sword. So, very nice start from our runners tonight.
Illus wants no part of that lumberjack check. Headed right into Lost Woods. That check was so quick, I did not see what it was. I don't know if you could make it out.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from what I could see there either. So, I guess we'll be kept in suspense for a bit more.
I imagine we'll be able to tell based on whether Fant makes an Aga play. I heard you like fetch quests, so I gave you this mushroom and the hammer there in Blind's hut. Let's see what is in the back.
And that...
Yeah. The Book of
Yeah,
Medora.
that book. I was about to say, that hammer pretty much kills our chances of seeing an Aga seed. It would pretty much be down to Moon Pearl on Pyramid to require Aga at this point, since we already have a hammer and a glove.
Absent the possibility, of course, that that was something necessary up on Lumberjack.
Yes, very true.
Love to find a bottle in early CAC so you can knock that sick kid check out of the way. So you find the OK Boomerang in the back of the well. Nothing quite yet that I think would, if it were me, turn me off from kind of going about this seed as I normally would, kind of getting through Kakariko and then doing a save and quit to Link's house and headed to South Shore or to Eastern Palace. Nothing really pointing us strongly in any direction other than that, absent, again, the mirror or the hook shot to make that sequence break up to Death Mountain maybe a little bit more palatable.
Yeah, our runners might be thinking about if they should go to Desert. Again, I think the answer is no. Without boots, there's no guarantee that they can get all the items, or rather the one item out of it, and they definitely can't get the one item that is going to be on the boss until they find a fire source of some kind. So yeah, South Shore is pretty much the best option next.
And Illus making us look smart and headed right to the South Shore area. Looks like maybe a mini Moldorm play. Gonna do that first and then swing over with that book into, after the dam, into Desert Palace. Reasonable, I suppose, although even without the boots. But Fant is gonna check the race game blind.
Yeah, going straight to Mini Moldorm is sort of a dead giveaway that you're looking to chain the dam in with an Agina and desert area check.
Ooh. Remember what we said about that Death Mountain play? Yep. Illus is going there. He's taking that flute. He's saying no thank you to what we were just talking about. That has very much changed his calculus, and he is going to activate that flute right away and head up to Death Mountain. Now, it's only a couple checks, right? It's the old man check, which would be a sequence break, but if you're just looking for the boots, it's fine. It's a very easy sequence break to do. That dark room there, especially from behind. And then it's just the Sanctuary Rock, or the Spectacle Rock. Oh, and there's the Moon Pearl in the dam. Nice find for Fant that Illus is going to miss here. But still interesting play. If you get that boots and it pays off that early, it's going to be a nice pickup for Illus.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll be long before Illus is back for that Moon Pearl, of course, since you can just flute to 7 and head into the dam. But yeah, ooh, Mitts also at Sunken Treasure.
Whoa. The South Shore loaded today.
So we have all the Dark World access.
Aghanim is feeling just fine. He's up there in his tower. He's like, nobody's coming after me today.
I wonder if Mitts will even make our runners now put off Death Mountain, I guess it's still worth doing that, doing just the Old Man and the Spectacle Rock check for the little amount of time it is, like you said. But as soon as they find that hook shot, the whole mountain will be in logic, which will be pretty exciting.
Illus headed over to Ice Rod Cave, while Fant is going to show us the Desert Ledge and at least 2 locations in Desert Palace. We'll see what's there. 50 rupees on the ledge.
And the butterfly effect is sort of happening already here, since Illus has those, had that flute early. Ooh, Tempered Sword in Ice Rod Cave. Is cleaning up these South Light World checks a little bit faster than Fant is going to, since he can just flute right over to the desert right now if he wants to, or head up Death Mountain. Gonna check out the mushroom.
Interesting. Not worried about a save scum here. Having the mirror and the Cane of Samaria means that maybe you'd want to save scum this to do a fake powder. But not really concerned with that. It's 300 rupees, though, which is nice to find this early on in the seed. Picks up a potion instead of saving money for a potential Zora purchase there, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah, probably thinking he's found so much already that he's not checking Zora anytime soon anyway, so...
That was Ether for Misery Mire, so we'll be looking for that. As Fant heads into Mini Moldorm Cave, going to get his flute here in just a second. Not much of note in the Misery Mire shed, though.
I like that play from Illus, though. I mean, you gotta wonder why you got a flute and mitts so early, so checking that out very quickly. Fant also finding the flute and immediately saving and quitting back to Sank to activate it.
Illus is not taking the bait up Death Mountain quite yet. We're gonna have a Hype Cave check here. We had Green Pendant Turtle Rock and pendants at Skull and at Thieves Town. Not my favorite dungeons to have pendants at, let me tell you. And then a Red Crystal at Mine.
Yeah, Pendant Skull Woods in Ambrosia is just brutal.
You guarantee that one of its 2 items are going to be on. Oh, and there's the hook shot. The hook shot and the powder in Hype Cave. Illus is now going to take that bait and head up to Death Mountain, I have to imagine.
Yeah, that's exactly what Illus was looking for. I mean, Hype Cave is 5 quick item checks. And if you find mirror or hookshot there, it just saves you so much time in skipping one whole mountain trip. So that's definitely the payoff he was looking for.
Fant is going to fake powder here. Now, we know that this isn't a huge sequence break because we have the powder in Hype Cave, so this is in logic for us here, but we'll see what the magic bat. Nothing.
So Fant collectively going to sell his mushroom for 305 rupees instead of just the 300 that Illus got.
You know, that's pretty good. That must be like a truffle or something. This is a perfectly defensible decision by Fant here to go into the Dark World. from this side. It lets you potentially clear out Skull Woods and Thieves Town, or at least as much of it as you can, and then get the whole Dark World loop. Unfortunately for him, that is going to work to his detriment because he's not going to get that hook shot until the end of the loop. And so we'll be behind Illus for quite a little while here in assuming that Illus is going to get his boots here up on the mountain before too long.
Yeah, that pendant layout, definitely an unpleasant surprise for Fant, probably hoping to get a crystal out of Thieves Town. Finds the shield in Skull Woods, so he is done in there very quickly at least.
Yeah, remember that other thing about Ambrosia is that there's guaranteed to be some kind of item on the boss. And I think Fant maybe has forgotten that because he's going straight to the back, and he remembered. Good job.
Oh my goodness. Paradox Cave loaded already. Half magic and the bow for Illus.
There are the boots in Paradox Cave. Paradox Cave really paying off. Illus is now going to be running all over the place for the rest of the seed. Feeling pretty good about putting off that desert play as well, I would imagine. Fant thought about saving and quitting out of there, thought better of it. This is the right move here to walk out of Skull Woods. Maybe you instead wait for a wall master to pick you up, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. Save and quit would have put him a little bit behind. This is definitely going to be fast. Right back to the Thieves.
Illus now into Tower of Hera, gonna chase down our first crystal, finds the big key immediately. Probably still see a Hera pot.
Hera pot is an even better play in Ambrosia than it is in non-Ambrosia seeds, right? Because the worry is that you're going to leave one of those items in the in a chest that you're not going to be able to get it at. With the big key, it's even better, right? But you know one of those items is going to be on Moldorm and will be accessible no matter what. So the chances that you're going to screw yourself by going up to the top of the tower without the big key are lower. In this case, you got the big key, it doesn't matter. But there's our one item there in the big chest. Illus will not check that other chest, head right up to Moldorm.
Moldorm showing off his own version of the Moldorm bounce there.
It's always tough when he's right down there because you're like, can I make it? Do I want to jump down? Do I want to just wait? It's usually better to just wait until he heads up to the other side of the platform a little bit, but it can be tricky. Fant has no interest in headed to the back of this pendant Thieves Town. He takes a death warp as Illus pulls out some bombs, so the only thing coming out of here that's nice is the crystal.
But Illus has to be feeling pretty good right now. 22 minutes in, has a crystal, tempered sword, boots, hookshot, flute, all sorts of good movement items, and is gonna full clear Death Mountain outside of Turtle Rock, basically, at this point. And Spike Cave is probably off the table unless we find an invincibility item in the Dark Death Mountain checks, or here in Spiral.
He does have a blue potion. which might mean with his hook shot that he can make it. But certainly you don't want to waste a whole blue potion just on a fight cave check.
Meanwhile, Fant is continuing the sort of standard South Dark World loop. We'll see if he opts to do a Mirrorless Smith turn-in, or if he just heads straight down to Hype Cave from here. I guess with Flute, it's not much of a time investment, because you can just grab the Smith, run to Hype Cave, and then you're probably going to save and quit out of there anyway.
Yeah, I think that, then maybe, you're turning in the Smith before going up the mountain. Ooh, this Fant pulls out the flippers from the dig game. Nice find for Fant. I imagine Illus will get those before too long. But I wonder if that will push... Well, no, he doesn't have anything to get into Ice Palace and no mirror to get into Swamp Palace, so likely not going to drag him too far afield there as Illus pulls out a Bombos medallion from Hookshot Cave. Buttersword, 25 minutes in.
I was going to say rip to Illus's fantasy owners, but I guess fantasy not really running anymore in the playoffs, but
yeah, no
would
fantasy
pretty much kill his boss fantasy points there.
Illus taking his bow and headed right over towards Eastern Palace. Our first look at this area. Where Illus is going, he doesn't need a lamp, I'm sure. Is Fant about to pick up his hook shot? It's got to enter into his mind maybe a little bit. It's like, oh man, I hope Illus didn't come here first.
And as expected, immediate trip up the mountain for Fant. So yeah, let's think about what Illus's path is going to look like, and when he will get to that those flippers at the dig game. He's definitely going to clear out Eastern and Palace of Darkness right now, would be my guess. Because you can just head straight to Sahasrara after beating Eastern, and then flute back down to the portal to head in and get Palace of Darkness. And then probably Village of Outcasts will be next after that.
That makes a lot of sense. It's possible that he could find something here that would pull him off of that, but I'm not even sure. Maybe the mirror would, but I don't know. I don't think that there's really anything that he could find over here that would not make that the next best play. We know that he's not going to have the flippers over here. I suppose with that Bombos medallion, he could decide to fake flipper over into Ice Palace. That's a possibility.
Yeah, there is the sort of superstition among runners that Bombos, if you have Bombos, that means Fire Rod is in Ice Palace and vice versa. But it's more anecdotal than anything.
Illus has a bit of a time getting that key in the back of Eastern Palace, but picks it up and headed back towards Armos. as Fant makes his way into Paradox Cave, gonna pick up his boots and his bow and half magic here in Paradox Cave. So a welcome find for Fant, for certain.
I will say if Illus found both fire and ice rod, that might get you suspicious, but I still don't think you would go do Pendant Turtle Rock before clearing out the very fast village checks at least.
Maybe the only thing that could, but even then, I was just saying maybe the mirror would draw him towards Swamp Palace first. With Swamp Palace being a crystal, that would be the only thing I could think of. But
yeah, without flippers though, I mean, Swamp is not really an option.
So yeah, so much more likely that he would, even if he found the mirror, head over and then probably lump Swamp Palace in with the rest of that Dark World, South Dark World loop. I always forget about the flippers every time.
I mean, we've all done that whole mirror sequence and then hopped in the water in Swamp without the flippers, so.
Illus stealing an old man's life savings of 71 rupees. How dare you, Illus? So we are a fire source and the mirror away from no mode already at 30 minutes into the seed.
We do still need that ether medallion to get into Misery Mire.
Good call. Yes, but still not very much missing already here. The seed's been very generous so far.
Yeah, it is a little bit curious that we have the other two medallions, but not ether. That doesn't happen too often.
Chat wondering why Fant put off Death Mountain for so long. Until he found that hook shot in Hype Cave, there was only one in logic check that he could get up here on Death Mountain. So that's probably why.
Yeah, Fant just sort of unluckily guessing wrong about where that mirror or hookshot was going to be and going through the Kakariko portal instead of the Hype Cave portal as Illus did. So that has set him behind a little bit, and Illus is just kind of showing off some monstrous execution here and blazing through this seed. So Fant is going to find the Bombos medallion in Hookshot Cave here in just a few minutes. He'll then have the choice of either following that bow to the Pod Eastern area, which is the more likely play, but he could choose to take that and gamble to Ice Palace with that Bombos medallion for access.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder what his thought process will be here. That might be, depending on what he chooses to do, that might be something that we want to ask him a little bit later on if we can get him in here for an interview. Because that could end up being a pretty important distinction depending on what we find here in Pod. Is Illus deciding to go back to Helmsor King before checking out Dark Maze and the back of Pod.
I really like this from a pathing perspective because you sort of have 2 dips left into Pod that you have to take, right? One back toward Dark Maze and one down to Helmasaur. But without the mirror, he's basically going to use the Helmasaur kill as a free mirror back to the front of the dungeon and not have to Death Warp out of Dark Maze or something like that.
Yeah, and really in the back, like the only thing that could make this move back to Helmasaur nicer would be the lamp. And there's only one check in the back of, or 2. There are only 2 checks in the back of, in the back of Pod that are not lamp locked, or at least fire locked, in the Terrapin room and in the Harmless Hellway. So chances that you're going to find lamp back there are small. And so if you're comfortable with doing the basement now for King Helmasaur, then just go for it. Very nice turtle room in the dark. That is one of the trickiest dark rooms in the game for sure.
Yeah, the combination of the wonky hammer hitbox and the wonky ways that turtles work mean that room can get away from you real fast, but very nicely done from Illus.
Illus putting on a Helmasaur clinic there, as Fant is gonna head into Ice Palace. Could be a big decision there, as Illus finds the magic cape on Helmasaur.
Yeah, from our perspective, I feel like this is a good decision. Fant is a little bit behind Illus, and a gamble like this could be his best way back into this race. If he can find a key item here in Ice Palace, like maybe, I guess Fire Rod is not even really required, since both Skull Woods and Turtle Rock are pendants, so it's really the mirror that we're looking for.
Or that ether medallion. But yeah, the mirror would be the thing that would certainly give him the biggest time advantage over Illus, the ability to make up that extra time. I always felt like the Bombos medallion should have been able to light torches.
I certainly agree.
I didn't make this game, so, you know.
I was going to say, the Ocarina of Time devs agreed with you since they made Din's Fire do that.
Fant maybe trying to rush this icebreaker a little bit. Trying to get through there. And there we go.
Yeah, just gets through there as Illus finishes up Palace of Darkness, and he found pretty much nothing in the pod eastern area. Which is making Ice Palace look like an even better play from Fant at this point.
Fant maybe showing you up with his knowledge of Ice Palace key logic, passing by that chest, and he's going straight for the boss. Did we already find all 3 items in Ice?
Yeah, I think we just saw 2 junk items, and then the last one on Cold Stare.
Of course, right, because it's Ambrosia. I'm forgetting now. As Illus picks up the red mail. Oh, Illus is going to give us that that lumberjack check that we missed when Fant did it. So eyes open, everybody. Big 20.
Alright, so Ice Palace coming up dry for Fant, but gets through that Cold Stare fight pretty nicely, as Illus is opting to fake Flipper. Yeah, really convenient item layout for Ice Palace. Fant basically got to go mode it. And there's the mirror in Waterfall Cave.
Oof. Oof. That is not good if you are a Sexy Ganon's fan. You know, he does have the flippers. All of those are in logic. But we'll see how long it takes Fant to head over there. That was really the last thing that he was really hoping for, that maybe could have given him a leg up here in terms of knowledge. This race isn't over by any stretch of the imagination, but at this point, Illus is a really solid lead.
Yeah, and Fant is opting to go for these checks behind the bow before doing any of those flipper checks. And yeah, Illus is also going to go through Ice Palace pretty quickly based on where the items are. And at this point in the seed, it's basically an ether hunt. I'm thinking my way through why Illus immediately noped out after finding the mirror in Waterfall Cave. He did not even go look at the Zora Ledge item while he was up there.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of an odd choice, considering that he... Yeah, I don't know why he would do that. You're right there. It's never going to get any better.
Maybe he's hoping that he's just going to find Ether in Ice Palace, and I guess he's thinking about chaining in the remainder of the Zora area checks with a catfish check, now that he has the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, and welcome to anybody who might be joining us who was watching the first game between these two teams, Last Locationers and Sexy Ganons, which just wrapped up over on SpeedGaming Prime. No spoilers in case you want to head over there and watch that VOD a little bit later.
Fant also losing track of that Igor a little bit in that dark Eastern Palace room. Kind of makes me wonder where the heck that lamp is, but...
Right? Desert Palace? So we've had access to desert for a while now.
That very well could be, and as much as we were talking about Fire Rod not necessarily being needed, and as much as these runners probably don't need Lamp, you do need a fire source to beat Ganon's tower, so we'll have to find one of those eventually.
Yeah, that's right. And our tracker right here is saying we did find one item in desert, so the other one is fire locked, which does make it a little bit less likely that that's there. But it could be in one of these mirror locked locations. You know, now that those we know that mirror was in logic, even though Illus was sequence breaking to get it.
And yeah, one of those could certainly just be chilling in the back of Thieves Town, since Fant just saw the first 4 chests there, and Illus is headed there at this point.
Yeah, now welcome to everybody who was watching game 1 of this match over on SpeedGaming Prime. This is Illus of the Last Locationers up against Phant of the Sexy Ganons. At this point, Illus has a bit of a lead here, and so Phant is trying to make it up time wherever he can. No spoilers, please, in chat if you can control yourselves in case people want to go check out the VOD of that other match. I heard it was lit. And then, although we probably will talk to these runners about that at the end of their match.
And we see again, Phant has just really been a little bit unlucky with some of these routing choices. You know, didn't do those water checks before coming to the pod eastern area, and finding that mirror up in Waterfall Cave would have saved a fair bit of time in the running around here in this part of the world. But again, has been making choices based on item density that are really understandable and just have not worked out for him so far this race.
So we are looking for, we know where the flippers are. Flippers are a dig game. We know where the mirror is. Mirror's up there at Waterfall Ferry. We need some kind of fire source, either the lamp or the fire rod. And we're going to need the ether medallion to get us into Misery Mire. And so Illus maybe trying to think about whether he's going to head to the back. And he is going to head to the back of Thieves Town. This is something the Phant did not do when he was over here earlier.
Yeah, this is where the sequence break is maybe affecting Illus's decision a little bit, for better or worse, we'll see, because he knows that the mirror is logically behind the flippers. So he's really, and he knows he has to find those flippers, of course, to finish Swamp Palace, so he might be being a little bit more thorough thinking about that, or just thinking that he's kind of running out of other places to check that are in logic until he finds those flippers. So this is just seeming like a more appealing option for him at this moment than it did when Phant was here. just one item left in Thieves Town, which we know is on the boss, with the Ambrosia settings, so Illus will not show us the compass in the big chest.
Just another clinic by Illus. Executes the blind grip perfectly. Picks up that pendant. There are just some bums. So Thieves Town coming up dry. Fant is not going to get burned by that decision to leave that by the wayside.
It is worth noting that while we are looking for the Ether Medallion to get into Misery Mire, Turtle Rock is in logic. Again, it's very restricted on how much you can do, depends on the key layout of how far you can get without the fire rod, but it's definitely a possibility for where things like, lamp or even that fire rod might be.
Illus is about to get his flippers here at the dig game, so I imagine that we're going to be seeing a Swamp Palace of play before too long. 6 items, it's full, clearable, it's a crystal, no reason not to do it here. We'll see, really the only decision is going to be whether Illus decides to do the Smith chain first with the mirror and the flute. That's very straightforward. And looks like he is going to make that decision. He's going to pick up the Smith to do this. This makes sense. It's, again, never going to get any easier for him than right now.
Yeah, and this is literally all he has left in this part of the world, right? I mean, he doesn't ever need to do the back of Skull Woods because if he gets Fire Rod, he will be in go mode. So, well, I guess Ether could still be back there. So I guess it's not his last possible thing left in this part of the world, but still, this is the most convenient time to do it for sure.
Yeah. I suppose Ether Medallion could be on pedestal as well, which, I apologize to everybody I apologize to the runners for bringing up that possibility, but chat was bound to at some point. Mirror was out at Waterfall Ferry, which Illus sequence broke with a fake flipper, and Fant has not been up there yet.
Yeah, interestingly, Illus fake flippered and did Waterfall Ferry on his way into Ice Palace. Fant had the flippers and did Ice Palace without checking Waterfall Ferry.
Which makes me think of the possibility that this is Fant's like saving grace here, that the Ether Medallion is up there on Zora Ledge or on King Zora himself, because since Illus has been up to that area, I imagine he's not going to want to go back if he can avoid it. So if Fant decides to, and Illus did not go and do those 2 checks when he was up there, thinking I can't necessarily get the, I could do some splashly shenanigans to get the item on the ledge. But, Fant, I would think pretty likely to do that whole series when he is up there. So if he finds Ether up there in Zora's domain, that could be a nice way to claw his way back into this race.
Yeah, and he also just sort of is gaining time back just by the fact that all of these checks that Illus is doing right now are part of what got him behind, because he opted to do these before going up to Death Mountain, or before finding the hookshot that let him go to Death Mountain properly. But the fact that Illus is still having to do these checks means that time was not really an overall loss for Fant, although Illus's are a bit faster since he's got the boots while he does them.
Illus is going to turn in Gary's interdimensional lunchbox here with the mirror. And will give us a Bombos tablet check before, I assume, making his way into Swamp Palace.
And Fant looks like he's headed toward the mirror right now. Oh, Ice Rod is on the Lake Hylia Island. Since we have a pendant Turtle Rock, our runners are really hoping to not need that one, but always possible.
And at least they know where it is now.
But yeah, I was about to say, Fant is headed toward his mirror right now, so we will probably see him head into Swamp Palace not too long after Illus. So our runners have definitely come back together a little bit, albeit that Illus does have that Thieves Town full clear finished, which Fant might have to go back and do later if he winds up hunting for ether all over the place.
Yeah, my apologies to Fant. This race is definitely closer than I was making it out to be. I think Illus certainly has a lead by any stretch of the imagination, but this race is still very much live. And with a find of the ether medallion in a place that Illus hasn't been yet, would certainly give him an edge. Fant remembering there that he's already been to Ice Palace and does not need to go there again.
Once per seed is plenty of times to go to Ice Palace.
Once to proceed is too many times to go to Ice Palace, in my opinion. All right, here we go. This is one of the first checks that Fant is doing that Illus has not seen, looking for that ether medallion. It's not going to be there on the ledge. Will King Zora have that ether medallion today? Or a fire source could be big as well. Nope.
I was all prepped to say that Zora's been in Logic since about 5.5 minutes into the seed, since we found that glove in Escape, but the usual scam from the king there.
Oof, Illus missing the bomb set up there for Diver Down. Just so close. Gets it the second time, though. So far, Swamp coming up damp and empty here for Illus.
Here's another new check for us. Fant going to show us Checkerboard Cave.
There's a question in chat about which is faster, Bomb or Samaria set up for Diver Down. I think it comes down to whichever one you're more comfortable with. The faster one is whichever one you can do faster. They're pretty close either way. Like, if it's me, I want Samaria set up because I can do that pretty well. There's the lamp. Illus finds the lamp on Argus. So we have fire now. Looked like Illus took a second to think about what his next play was going to be. He's going to come over here, take this mirror. He's going to get his ice rod here on Lake Hylia Island. So we'll see where that takes him. As Phant, unfortunately for him, headed into the back of Thiebestown, we know that this is going to come empty. I imagine for Illus, this is going to be, he's going to use this mirror, going to go check Hobo here, I would think, and then maybe head up towards towards Catfish, I would imagine, with that mirror, and he will check out the rest of those Zora's Domain checks.
For Diver Down also, I think one of the big advantages that Samaria has also for, mortal runners like me who are not as good at this game as Illus is the lineup for the bomb setup is a little bit trickier, whereas with the Samaria setup, you just put yourself flush against the rail and then you're on the right pixel vertically. So it takes a little bit more setup for the bomb in my experience.
So we're at the 1 hour mark here at our race, a little reset for us. This is game 2 of this first round playoff match between the Last Locationers and the Sexy Ganon. We've got Illus and Phant representing those teams respectively. Game 1 wrapped up a little bit earlier over on SpeedGaming, and we will be chatting to these runners about that result as well here at the end of this race, I am sure. Right now, we are in a hunt for the Ether medallion. That's what we're looking for. Maybe Illus will get it here at Catfish. This is a check that we haven't seen. I do believe that is really the last thing that we're looking for a go mode here in this seed. This is Ambrosia. So we know we got a clue about the boots early on. They started with a sword, and they know that in every dungeon, the boss will have an actual item rather than a key or a dungeon item or some such.
So thinking about where this Ether medallion could be now, let's see. Pyramid Fairy is actually out of play because Misery Mire is one of our red crystals, and Ether is what we need to get into that dungeon. Even could be sitting on Landmo. We've got one item left in there. We have Turtle Rock left to check. And if we ever find the Fire Rod, it could theoretically be in Skull Woods, or some sort of pedestal situation might come into play at that point.
Illus is going to take his lamp and knock out this 5/6 crystal here at Desert Palace. We did see the one item out of Desert Palace earlier. Illus is going to find that momentarily and then head back to Landmo, who will have the other item. Perhaps this is our Ether medallion.
Yeah, it certainly could also be our Fire Rod. When you go so long without finding either fire source, you sort of start to wonder if the second one is locked by the first one.
Yeah, as Bulletin in chat is bringing up, in the back of these runners' minds have to be a TR dip. You know, as we run out of other checks here, Turtle Rock and Spike Cave are the only checks up on Death Mountain that we have not seen. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Illus makes his way over there after Desert, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure what else Illus has besides that Turtle Rock play at this point. I'm trying to think. It's a little bit hard to keep track of which of our runners has checked what at this point, but yeah, not a lot of options left open for Illus besides Turtle Rock if Desert is not the answer.
Yeah, certainly that's if I don't think we've seen Graveyard Ledge. And I don't think we've seen Bumper Ledge either. Maybe we did. I don't quite remember. And so those are probably on his mind as Desert Palace coming up empty except for the crystal there with the big 20.
Yeah, I don't think Illus has done that front of Skull Woods either, so he's probably thinking about chaining that in with Graveyard Ledge. It is worth mentioning that Illus also skipped left side of Swamp, which has at least one item, because I remember we found the map in the back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll see whether Fant makes that same calculation here in Swamp. He knows he's still looking for a fire source, which we will get here out of, off of Argus, but also still looking for that ether medallion.
And is Illus thinking about going back into Swamp?
Or check Pyramid. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I think he is. That's interesting. Going into left side Swamp before going up towards Turtle Rock.
This might be sort of a fail-safe thing, where you think to yourself, okay, Pendant Turtle Rock is going to be everyone's last location, but left side of Swamp might come back and bite me if Fant full clears it on his first time through, as he is currently doing.
Yeah, Fant going to show us the left side of Swamp Diver down. As you see, he intentionally floods the key, blows up a bomb next to that switch. He's going to try to do that again here, and leaves the room before the switch is triggered, so that he can diver down into the water, or get below the water, and then move up into the next room. So he can do the Samaria strat here. And then the bomb will trigger once he gets in there. He'll be able to pick up the key, and we'll be able to head back over to the left side without having to backtrack. So really, at this point, Illus is just a back of Swamp Palace ahead of Fant. This race has come all the way back together. Oh, and a desert palace, excuse me. But Fant has already been to the front of Desert Palace, so really it's just a back of Swamp and a back of Desert Palace left, as we see left side coming up empty. So this will be good move for Fant. This actually isn't going to lose him any time. In fact, might gain him some time doing this on the first way through here, rather than Illus having to come all the way back in.
And just for maximum annoyance, Illus will have to check out that big chest and get 10 arrows on his way out of Swamp.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like Pendant Turtle Rock without the Fire Rod, and or Spike Cave are going to be our answers for this Ether Medallion. We're very quickly running out of places it could be. Illus showing his frustration there, grabbing on, bonking his head against the wall, the dam, doing a rage slash. This is almost certainly here, this TR play. Flutes to 1, gets the heart refill here, pulls out the hook shot. He's headed to TR.
Actually, I think this might actually be Spike Cave first. Yeah, that heart refill was for Spike Cave specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, and this makes sense now that I think about it, right? You want to knock this out. You don't want to have to go into TR if you don't need to. So get this out of the way, you get the heart refill, you save and quit out of there, get it again. This is definitely the right move.
Yeah, because if, like, Fire Rod is in here, you definitely want that before you go into Turtle Rock.
Yes, for sure. Alas, no, it's our third shield of the seed. Oh, huh. Illus pulling out the flute.
Oh, he's still got Skull Woods and North Dark World to check out.
Yeah, just doing everything he can to avoid that pendant TR play. It's certainly the without the Fire Rod, I can see why that's not particularly attractive. You might be making your way all the way up there for, depending on the key logic, just one check. If you don't find a key in, or what you're looking for in that first chest. So Illus is trying to find anywhere that he can to not have to make that commitment.
Yeah, rechecking Sea House there. Might have had I don't know if he uses a map tracker or not, or just wasn't 100% sure that he had checked that already.
And I was just trying to remember where that third shield was. There it is.
Oh, is Illus gonna go check Pedestal while he's here? No, he's just fluting away immediately.
Oh man, I don't. You're right there next to Bumper Cave and Graveyard Ledge. I don't like that decision. You're right there. Check those things right away.
Yeah, I don't remember if he has seen bumper ledge and things. Oh, okay, so our tracker is telling us he did check bumper ledge before, but not graveyard ledge.
Yeah, I think that if it were now within caveat, Illus is much better at this than I am, but and has a lot more experience at this than I am. But if it's me, at least, I'm going to check graveyard ledge there first before making my way up the mountain and into TR. Yeah, it's gonna depend on where that fire rod is. It's okay, since you're also looking for the fire rod, you don't feel quite as bad about going into TR without the ice rod. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if the logic though is fire rod in Turtle Rock lets you go all the way through it, then that could work out very badly for Fant if he goes in without the ice rod.
Yeah, that would not be great for a Fant, especially considering that he knows where the ice rod is.
All right, small key there is what we need to continue without the fire rod.
And we continue on.
Turtle Rock is just casually stringing us along.
And look at this, Fant making his way into Turtle Rock is going to be just 3 checks behind.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but the randomizer places the keys first, correct? So it just has to randomly place the keys in the right spot to even be able to put something in here without the fire rod.
And we continue. We find the big key in its vanilla location at the lava chest. Coming up on Mimic Cave and the big chest are next checks. Watch Fire Rod be on Laser Bridge, and Ether be in the front.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's entirely plausible and would be really terrible.
That was swag. I love that from Fant with the throw. And there's the Ether Medallion! Illus at 1 hour, 17 minutes is in go mode. He's going to pull out his flute and head off towards Misery Mire. Oh, no, he's going to continue on. Oh, interesting. And he's rewarded with the silver arrows immediately.
Oh, is he worried about the GT big key on the right side of GT?
Looked like he was, and he has thought better of it. He is headed out.
Yeah, I think that means he just didn't realize he was in more or less go mode at that point, but paid off by finding the silvers in the big chest.
Yeah, really, at this point, it's going to come down to, you know, where that fire rod is, if he finds it, which, you know, he's going to get one more item guaranteed here off of Vitreous. I imagine he's not going to check any more chests than he absolutely needs to here in Mid-Mire. And that silver find is certainly nice. But at this point, you know, it's going to depend on where that Gan's Tower big key is. Whether it's going to be on the right side. It is possible to get there to Compass Room without the fire rod, but it definitely takes some bomb jump shenanigans in that room to do it.
Really nice red cane strat in Mire Room 2 there to get those last 3 whiz robes all at once.
As Fant enters go mode at 1 hour, 19 minutes, 44 seconds. We'll see if he continues on. He wants no part of that chest. He is going to miss out on the silver arrows. It's never a Godmire when you need it to be a Godmire. Yeah, that is correct. So these guys look really close, but Fant has not been to the back of Desert Palace yet. So he will still have to rush through there after finishing Misery Mire.
And Big Key continuing to be elusive here in Mire.
We're getting confirmation from chat that I think I might have totally missed Fant killing Landmolus. So that is not right on the tracker. And so these guys are very close indeed. I didn't see what was in the first fire-locked chest, so I'm not sure whether this is guaranteed to be the big key or not.
Yeah, I don't think it was a key in the fire-locked chest, because, yep, it was definitely not, since we have that heart on the left side.
All right, so we know the big key is going to be in that last chest that you can get to in the front.
So question in chat, what happens if there is a tie in the playoffs? If there's a tie in the playoffs, we replay this match. Yeah, it would just be another match with the same settings between the same 2 players if that were to happen.
And I believe that's within 2 seconds. Is that the threshold here for the?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
There's already been 1 tie in the playoffs already, and we've only been in the playoffs for a day and a half.
Very nice from Fant there, showing off some more door state extension, similar sort of glitch as the icebreaker there that just let him dash through that rail.
No, that's rad. I totally forgot that that was a thing and never bothered to learn it. I'm going to learn that now. It's great. I hate having to walk all the way around there.
Yeah, it's like Icebreaker. It's just another, basically 1 pixel movement, or 1 frame movement. It's 2 pixels because you're moving up, but, yep, and Illus gets through the Vitreous fight very quickly with those silver arrows, and has his 7th crystal and is on the way to Ganon's tower.
Means it's time for the big key guessing game. There are 22 locations in the basement of Ganon's tower. One of them is going to have the big key in it. Put a number between 1 and 22 in chat. If you are right, you get some internet points that are imaginary and very important. CBB, what is your guess today?
I went with 13 again. I got sniped on that one, so somebody got it in before me, but I'm sticking with it.
I am on 10, so we'll see how that goes. Fant, without the silver arrow, is going to take a tiny bit longer on this fight, but still, blink and you miss it.
We should point out also that when Illus tried to go further in Turtle Rock, he literally could not, unless there was a small key in Crystal Roller Room as well. So there is a decent chance that the rest of Turtle Rock is Fire Rod locked, and therefore Fire Rod would have to just be somewhere in Ganon's tower at this point. So that possibility of a crazy bomb jump along the right side feels pretty small right now.
Yeah, that seems correct. Get those last guesses in. Two small keys in Hope Room. Illus not taking the bait, gonna mirror out and head to the left. Well, I say not taking the bait. He doesn't have the fire rod, so I don't know how confident he is with that bomb jump that I was mentioning that he would need in order to go left.
Yeah, and even if you're pretty confident with it, it is definitely a time-consuming setup, so probably wanting to put that off as long as possible as well.
Number 4 is 10 arrows. Number 5, 300 rupees. Number 6, 10 more arrows. And number 7, a full heart container. We continue on. Check number 8 in the firebar room, another full heart container.
That was very smooth from Illus getting through that map room, the firebar room there, without taking any damage using the hookshot iframes.
Yeah, that's very tight if you've never tried that before. Check number 9, a big 20 as we head into Rando Room. Number 10, piece of heart. Number 11, a big 20. Number 12, the compass. Number 13, a set of bombs. Your commentators have both officially lost. Let's see who wins.
You know, we just got to keep some traditions alive.
Check number 14 will be the chest that formerly belonged to the great Bob. Bob is dead. Long live Bob. Nope. We're headed down to Ice Armos. Are we likely... What's more likely? The big key or the fire rod in here? I mean, I guess the big key is more likely, but the fire rod would definitely be funnier.
And isn't that what we're all looking for?
And no. We're looking at tile room here.
Yeah, I think fire rod and tile room would be even funnier, so let's hope for that one.
This is check 18. Oh, interesting. I guess the fairy is not gonna despawn while the tiles are running. Like, grabs it there. But that's a lot longer than a fairy should be able to fly around. And we are out. We need the fire rod, folks. Where is the fire rod?
So there's our answer. Illus not confident in that bomb jump on the right-hand side and is going to go looking for the fire rod in Turtle Rock just a few checks further. That might explain why he went back into Turtle Rock before, but is forced to go back in now.
Illus showing his frustration with those rage slashes there. I gotta say, I don't blame him. We got ourselves a race, folks.
So this means we're guaranteed that small key in the crystal roller room, which is probably leading us to that fire rod on Laser Bridge, but we will see if Fant is up for trying this bomb jump.
Fant taking advantage of that cape there. When he hold on. There's the fire rod. Oh no, one check before Illus. Oh, why not? And Fant's going for it.
So you typically kill all the enemies in this room.
You needed that fire rod, in theory at least, in order to do what, in order to do this room, or and get past it. But Fant is gonna go for the bomb jump here. If he can pull it off, we are gonna be within seconds of each other.
There's the bomb jump. We'll see if he has enough time, because he did not go through the upper room first to light the other 3 torches before that first one goes out. This is really tight. I'm not even
Holy
sure if this is
cow.
possible.
Look at that sink. Oh no! Oh no, Phant.
Yeah, that
Oh.
setup is just not working out. You really have to go up into the room above this, so that when you fall into the pit, you respawn at that door closer to the torch.
And there it is. There's the big key at check number 19. Congratulations to Sleepy Chaser 04, guessed 19 and won 17 points up in the Big Key guessing game. Congratulations, you win 17 imaginary internet points. Good job.
Yeah, there's just not enough time for Fant to do that the way he's got that set up, unfortunately. He is nailing the bomb jump. Accidentally, That's the setup for glitching your way up to Aghanim 2. For a second, I thought that Fant was just FFing and then memeing, but no, that was just accidental. So Mirror's back out to get out of that clip.
And he at least is making the right call here. I mean, I'm not sure the Graveyard Ledge would be the only other play, but he's going to head back in there and he'll get his Silver Arrows and his Fire Rod. But at this point, Illus is almost done with the gauntlet now. This is Illus's race to lose for sure.
So Illus a bit low on health in his GT climb, but does have powder, so we'll be able to fill up in the room before Moldorm 2.
Phant about to pick up his Fire Rod. Again, just one check farther than he went before. He did pick up his Silver Arrows as well, and he will be running back over into the Ganon Tower basement as Illus takes down Moldorm 2 and is headed into the fight with Axe.
And that's so unlucky for Fant. So Illus had previously checked the TR big chest, so he could just cut through the middle of Turtle Rock without having to go across the Mimic Ledge, and so could mirror back to the actual front of Turtle Rock, where Fant has to climb Death Mountain again.
Oh, that is a shame, yeah.
That's one of those weird situations that it totally makes sense to clear out that Turtle Rock big chest right there, just in case you have to re-dip Turtle Rock for Fire Rod, but how often does that come up in a rando race?
Yeah, that's a real Galaxy Brain kind of play, and I mean that in the kindest sense. Make sure you give these runners a follow, folks. They've put on a heck of a race for you here today. Illus and Fant. You can I will put their Twitch handles in the chat here. As Illus takes on Ganon, Butter Sword, Red Mail, Half Magic. Only a couple falls could do him in at this point.
That was a lot of Ganon warps there.
Yeah, it was. Come on, Ganon. Illus with the double there. And that fourth arrow, get your GGs in chat for Illus, who's going to take this match here, giving Last Locationers a win in this best of 5 series. And that is an official SRL time for Illus of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 51 seconds. GG to Illus.
And Fant starting his climb through the gauntlet. This is also a good opportunity to give another shout out to our tracker, Ikir. Thank you very much for pushing the buttons for us today and keeping us on track during this race. Be sure to give them a follow as well.
We did hear from Illus that we are going to be able to get an interview with him. So, but we'll wait until Fant is done, probably.
Fant unfortunately down to 2 arrows after that Lanmo 2 fight. We'll see if he manages to find some with an item drop here.
Oh, Fant going for the hover. Yes. Oh!
You know, if you can't win the race, you might as well show off some swag.
Absolutely. Hovering's only cheating when Andy does it. Come on, Fant, we're all pulling for you. Do it. Do it. And I think that is going to be it for Fant. Oh, maybe not. Maybe going to give it one more try. Thought about it for a second.
Ooh, got it going there for a second. Yeah, you would think Moldorm would know not to mess with people who are trying to hover, because, you know, that's just a sure way to get yourself killed.
Come on, Moldorm, be a bro. Nope. All right, and I mean this in the most encouraging possible sense. Come on, 10th time's the charm. Let's go.
Oh, there it is!
Yeah! Woo! Yeah, boy! We got the crazy bumper, tier 2. I love it.
I don't think I've ever seen that bumper do that.
I've seen it once before. I don't know what does it. Ooh, it's tough that when Ganon gets out of sequence like, or gets out of whack like this one. right? At this point, I can confirm that Fant did end up forfeiting the race. Looks like he wanted to finish out Ganon's tower no matter what there. But GG's to Fant also put those in the chat. If for nothing else, firstly for the fantastic race that he ran. Getting that hover there at the end. Love to see it. GG's to Fant. And we are joined in the booth by Illus and Phant. GG's, folks.
GG.
So first off, I have to say, you guys, when you watch back the end of this race, you'll note the sync between the two of you. Illus, you were headed into that right side room of Ganon's tower with your fire rod, as Phant was in there trying to do the bomb, trying and succeeding at doing the bomb jump. Just like made it across the gap, didn't quite get to the door in time there. So first, Illus, take me through your thought process after finding Ether and Mimic Cave. You go back into Turtle Rock, you get the silver arrows, you think about heading towards that next check, you decide to leave. Take me through that thought process.
My thought process was something was up if I find the big key vanilla, like I would probably find the fire rod on Laser Bridge. But then I was like, do I really want to find a key in that roller chest and go to Laser Bridge? It costs time, I might be in go mode, like fire rod might not be required anyway. So I left and decided to come back if I don't find the GT big key in the left side, which in the end cost me a lot more time than I thought, because clearing out the basement takes some time. But yeah, I thought something was up, but if I needed it, I could just leave GT and go back, and so I did.
And then Phant, a similar, like, you know, you didn't go back in. You committed to that play, leaving GT as soon as you, or leaving Turtle Rock as soon as you found that Ether medallion. How confident were you that you could pull off that bomb jump? We about lost our crap in the booth when we saw that you were going to go for it.
Well, I had actually never ever tried to do that strategy until right now. But I was seriously strongly considering heading into Turtle Rock just to get the last two chests, like just in case something was there. But then I was like, man, 18 and 22 chance, I don't need a fire rod. So surely it's not going to be fire rod.
I thought it was kind of likely that we need the fire rod given the key layout in Turtle Rock. Like, why would Ether be there, not on Laser Bridge or something, right?
Yeah.
So I was very suspicious, but in the end I still decided to go for the left side hope.
Yeah, if I practiced a whole bunch of strategies, obviously not the bomb jump one, but I was missing a key aspect of that strategy. So I just, if somebody wants to go do that, the bomb jump is pretty easy to set up. That's not too big of a deal. But what you want to do, as I've been thinking about it, is you go through the north door in that torch room and then back in. So that sets it so you spawn up there instead of further away from the torch. And then you use hookshot to get to the torches. That pauses your timer for a little bit, and that will allow you to do that strategy. And I wish I thought of that sooner. When my teammates saw that, I was like, oh yeah, you need to do this.
If you had managed to pull that off, even on your first or second try, you guys would have been leaving that room at just about the same time. I think at that point, Illus did grab the silver arrows before leaving TR there. And so he would have had that edge there, but it would have been super close headed up the tower there. But GG's on having the guts to even try it, never having actually done it. So you're a better man than I.
And yet, even that first dip into Turtle Rock was a little bit interesting. I don't know if either one of you want to talk about sort of how much you were suspicious of Turtle Rock for Ether in general, or how much you were trying to avoid that by checking everything else. Illus, it felt like you had just about nothing else left when you finally went to TR.
I still had Graveyard Ledge because I hate Graveyard Ledge. No, but seriously, it was a bit awkward to route. I could have routed it after Skywoods, but it wouldn't have been much different from like looting to 3, going to the Darkwood portal and running there anyway. So I figured it's probably just in Turtle Rock. It was a very unfriendly setup. I didn't have the mirror when I was up on Darkness Mountain when I found the bomb boss for Turtle Rock, which without the mirror you cannot open up initially. So I had all the Duff Mountain checks done very early, and so especially without the fire rod, Turtle Rock was not a very attractive option in general. But I think the seed was still fine because we could clear all the stuff kind of efficiently, and yeah, then just go to TR anyway.
Yeah, when you watch this, if you guys watch this race back and there's you guys were very close for the first 15 minutes or so of the seed, which is not surprising with a standard beginning like this. And then as soon as y'all found Dark World access, you made different, extremely defensible choices about where you're going to go into the Dark World first. Unfortunately, it worked out for Illus and not Phant there. Phant decides to go at it from the Kakariko village side, opens up his map, notices that both Skullwoods and Thieves Town are pendants. That can't have felt good. And then, of course, Illus, checking Hype Cave first, finds the hookshot, able to run up and find the boots up on Death Mountain immediately. But Phant, slowly but surely making his way back through the seed, clawing back time to the point where we had this really, really close finish. It was a really, really great show.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried there. Probably 2 or 3 items from Go Mode because pretty much everything was on the way outside of the last 2 things we needed. So I was really worried when I found the mirror where I found it because, I could have had that super, super early. And I figured Illus had to have gotten that first. I was kind of nervous about that. So from that point on, I was kind of hoping everything would be in a horrendous spot. Just not as horrendous as it turned out being.
I'm not the type to really fake flipper early, but I actually did fake flipper. I did Ice Palace at 40 minutes, and before that I grabbed the mirror. That was kind of hilarious. I was very confused when I found the mirror because I obviously didn't have the flippers yet, and I was wondering where all the logic chain was. But yeah, I only had mirror at 40 to 45 minutes, I believe. It wasn't that early.
Yeah, Illus, there was another question I had about that moment there. You find the mirror. You decide not to go up and check the other 2 checks in Zora's domain to check out the ledge and to check out King Zora himself. It ended up not hurting you. But did you consider going up there to make those checks?
I mean, I sure considered it, but my original play was just to go to Ice Palace in this case, because I had the cane and the means to clear it. It wasn't very dangerous either. And I figured I could just check the Zora and Zora Ledge when I went to Catfish, and like that I wouldn't isolate Catfish either. So I did that kind of soon afterwards. I think after I did Swamp Palace. So sometimes you just choose to clean up stuff later because you figure that there's probably your Go Mode items on the way. In this case, obviously it wasn't, but I still managed to find a kind of efficient route to do them later.
And yeah, similarly in that same area of the world, Phant, we thought it was interesting that you opted to go into Ice Palace as early as you did. Did you feel like you sort of wanted to gamble, or was there something in the seed that kind of made you think, maybe there was something in Ice Palace?
No, with Icebreaker nowadays, Ice Palace is so fast, and even more so in Ambrosia, where you're just so likely to not have to go to Ice Tea with that guaranteed item on the boss. So I think probably in like 99% of practice seeds, I haven't played 100, so extrapolation there. You get all the items before you have to even think about going to Ice Tea in Ambrosia mode. Statistically, I don't know how that happens, so I don't really mind going into Ice Palace earlier nowadays, especially with the cane. If I didn't have the cane, I wouldn't have done it. So I think that really changes how you see Ice Palace with these new strategies that are now allowed.
Yeah, I really like what Icebreaker has done to the meta here to make the cane a little bit more of an, and Diver down to that matter, make the cane a little bit more of an interesting item about what it opens up, not necessarily in terms of what it locks, because obviously nothing changed about that, but how much nicer it makes Ice Palace, how much nicer it makes Swamp Palace. I think makes for some really interesting decision making about whether people are going to wait to make those dips or to see if they can find the cane of Samaria or make those plays early on if they do find that cane pretty early. So I'm with you.
Ice Palace definitely needed a buff, and
Yes.
that was kind of a good one. I'm very much less reluctant to go to Ice Palace nowadays.
So I don't know if you guys were following the other race, or if you want to know what happened in the first race between Goomba and Yagamoth. We were throwing spoiler alerts in chat earlier today, so I want to make sure that are you gonna find out what happened, or
yeah, I've already found out what happened.
I think I know too. Yes.
Yeah. So it looked like it was a really close race there. Goomba did take the win. There, I'm told that race was hype, so make sure you go watch that one back. And of course, your other two teammates are actually playing their match right now. Freddie and Lin. They are not being restreamed. That match, that is the open match between the two Courage players. That's going on as we speak.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up like a multi of them and go in and watch. Let's bring this to game 4. Let's go.
I would like to watch, but it's 3 a.m. for me.
Oh, that's
soon,
right.
so
Yeah.
I'd like to go to bed at some point, probably.
Well, we will let you go to bed. Then, any last words from you two folks?
Nothing from me. Thanks for commentating, guys.
Yeah, thanks for taking your time, Fant, and like asking your boss to release you earlier, so that I don't have to race at like 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Well, thank you guys for putting on such an awesome show. GG's to both of you. Cool Papa Bell, any last words before we close things up?
I think we pretty much covered it all. Another great race between these two runners, and we're just going to see more and more of that over the next few weeks with the league playoffs coming through. So keep your eyes on SpeedGaming and the ALTTPR League Twitch channels for more great rando action as we work our way through the playoffs.
Yeah, there are 2 more matches being streamed this evening on SpeedGaming, on SpeedGaming 3 at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a Wu-Tang Clan versus Clown Parade. That is going to be a heck of a show. That's Imosaru versus Shireen. That's over on SpeedGaming 3. And at 10:40 p.m., we have Double Dippers versus Did You Check Your Boot? Moogle Charm versus Rampant Revenant on SpeedGaming Prime. So if you still want more rando this evening, make sure you check out those races on the SpeedGaming family of networks. So I think we will close things up. Thank you again to Illus and Fant for the awesome show and for popping in here for an interview. Thank you to Cool Papa Bell for co-com. Thank you to Ike here behind the scenes pushing buttons for us. And thank all of you for watching us. And we hope to see you back here for more league playoff action before too long. My name is Tyler Salt. Thanks a lot, everybody.